All right, what's up, my good people? Welcome to this video on present perfect. If you're in class, welcome to the lecture portion of our class. If you're watching online, please make sure to follow and ask any questions that you need to ask, and I'll be more than happy to help. As per usual, our presentation is a Prezi presentation. I didn't come up with this one. This is the person that did, and I will leave the link in the bio. If you guys need it in class as well, it will be in the bio of the video. Cool. All right. So, my beautiful people in class and online, we're talking about present perfect. Let me move this out of your sight. And this is when we use, so just like in future tense, we use will as a helping verb. In present continuous, we use the verb to be as a helping verb. In in present perfect, we use the verb to have as a helping verb. And these helping verbs are also called auxiliary verbs. Yeah. So will, have, and to be are auxiliary verbs when they come in the simple in present perfect and past perfect and present continuous, past continuous, future continuous, anything of that sort. Yeah. Okay. So it's a helping verb, which means that it's going to come before the main verb. So when do we use, oops, sorry, my bad, my people. Okay. So when do we use present perfect? Well, we use the present perfect tense to say that an action happened at an unspecific time before now. Okay. So it's an uninterrupted thing. It happened, but the time is not important. When it happened doesn't matter. Okay. So let's take a look at these rules. So again, we use it to say that an action happened at an unspecific time before now. The exact time is not important. And before we begin talking about the actual tense, we need to look at the helping verb. And like I said, in the future, we use will. In present continuous, we use the verb to be. In present perfect, we use the verb to have in the present. That's why it's called present perfect, because the verb to have is in the present. Okay, so this is again how you conjugate the verb to have in the present. I have, you have, she has, he has, it has, we have, you have, and they have. Okay, so this is something that you have to know. This is why it is again in the present, because the verb to have is in the present. And what this verb is doing, it's helping the other verb. It's giving us more information. Okay, so we will use this verb as a helping verb when forming the present perfect. Cool. We're good. Okay, so again, I have, you have, they have, and so forth. All right. Any questions so far? No. All right. So this tense is formed using two components. So it means that it has two parts to it. It has the verb to have, and then the past participle of the main verb. Okay. And this is usually the verb with ed. Okay. However, if you are in class, then you have a sheet that I printed out. Okay, the sheet comes from ESL Forms. You can see where it says participle in green, and I can post a copy of this also on in the link. But the part that is green, that's the participle, and you can see, for example, the base form of awake is awake, simple past is awoke, and then the participle is awoken. Okay, so what we would need is the verb to have is in the present, and then the second verb, or the main verb, the verb that the verb to have is helping, is going to be in the past participle. Okay, so the boat has sunk. Okay, has is in the present, sunk is the past participle of what verb? Can anyone tell me what's the verb sunk in base form? What verb is that? It should be on your sink, yeah. So sink, sank, sunk. Yeah? It should be on here, I think. No, it's not. It's not on there. Okay. My sister has swum. Okay? My sister has swum. So swim, swam, swum. So that list is the past participle. That's the one we use with present perfect. We don't use the present tense, we use the past participle. Now for regular verb, that just means ed. I have played with her before. Okay? Yeah? Which we will see in a sense. She has collected. The past tense, that looks the same as the past tense, right? You just add ed. For regular verbs, you just add ed. That's it. Okay? If it's conjugated like normally, then it's conjugated like normally, and it just is the past form of it. If it is an irregular verb, odds are there's a past participle that you can check your list for. Our guest has arrived. Has is in the present, arrived is in the past. Does that make sense? And again, in all of these, I have watched. The teacher has said. These are all conjugated the way they should be, right? So when we are using these things, the time isn't important. It happened in the past, but we don't care when it happened. Yeah? It's just, we just care that it did. Okay? Our guest arrived is almost like an end to that. It just happened once and that's it. Our guest has arrived. It means that it's almost like it's in the present moment, kind of, but it's, I'll find a better way to explain it in a second. Let's continue. Let me not confuse everybody. So what is a past participle? Well, a past participle, as we were saying before, it's the past with an ed ending if it's a regular verb. Okay, so it looks just like the simple past. If it's a regular verb, it looks just like the simple past. Yeah? Everyone good on that? Yes? Awesome. Okay. For example, collected, arrived, enjoyed, watched, and so forth. Irregular verbs have a special past participle form that you have to learn. This is what we have in our list of verbs. Okay? The list that I have right here, I will leave a link again to that in the bio, but this is what we have. If it's irregular, it usually has a different form. Cool? Oops. Okay. Sink, sunk, swum, eaten. Okay. Said. And this is where we were earlier. Okay. So now let's talk about the structure. We're not going to watch the video. All right. So now for understanding the present perfect. The present perfect is usually used when time period is not finished. I have seen 3 movies this week. Okay, so this week is not done. And this is something that I had done sometime during this week, but the week is not over. The time period is not over. So we use the present perfect. I have seen 3 movies this week. If it had been finished, then I would be using past perfect. I would say I had seen. Okay, but since the time period is not finished, then this is when we use present perfect. Yeah? I have traveled to Mexico 3 times this semester. Cool? The semester is not over yet. And it doesn't matter exactly when I went to Mexico in this, semester. It just matters that I did do that. Okay? And it's not done yet, so it's in the present perfect. Cool? Cool? Yeah? Awesome. Okay, so the week is not finished yet. 2, the present perfect is often used when the time is not mentioned. Again, because the time is not important, so the time is not mentioned. So we don't care when really it happened. Okay? Gary has failed his exam again. We don't know what time Gary failed his exam. We don't know what date he failed his exam. We just know that he has failed it. Okay? 3, the present perfect is often used when the time is recent. Okay? So James has just arrived in Victoria. That was very recent, right? Gary has failed his exam again. That's something that's recent. Cool? So in that sense, if it's recent, we don't really care when exactly. It's also present perfect. Okay? And the present perfect is often used with for and since. So Gary, let me put this up here. Gary has lived here for 20 years. Okay? When you see for, it usually means that in that sentence you have the present perfect. Yeah? Does that make sense? So for example, she has lived here since her childhood. Tony has won 3 awards since he began acting. Yeah? Does that make sense? So again, we use it when the time period is not finished, when the time is not mentioned, when the time is recent, and when we use for and since. Cool? And you guys, it's the same as in Spanish. When you have, Gary has lived here since 1978. That's the other example. So when you have like when you have like, it's also the verb, it's not the verb to have, but it's he, right? Trying to think of what the base form of that verb would be. But it's also the same rule as in Spanish, if you guys can trace it back. I'll try to think, I'll look up the rule in Spanish, but I know it's the same one. So when in the places you would use okay, I'll try to think of an example and to share with you guys. All right, so again, unspecified time before now, has, have, plus past participle. That's the structure, okay? So I have seen that movie 20 times, okay? So we don't know when he saw that movie. We just know that he saw that movie 20 times. So it's unspecific or unspecified time. Yeah? So what do we have? The pronoun plus the verb to have in the present plus the past participle. I have seen that movie 20 times. Have seen. Have is the present form of to have. Seen is the past participle of to see. Okay? I think I've met him once before. Where is my verb? Met is my main verb, and then we have, right? Have and then met. There have been many earthquakes in California. Have been, right? Okay. People have traveled to the moon. Have traveled. Okay, again, we use it when referring to an experience. Okay. I have been to France. Have been, right? So when we're talking about an experience, that's when we use present perfect. You have grown since the last time I saw you. Right? They've experienced something, which is growth. Our son has learned how to read. Exactly. Scientists have scientists have split the atom. Couldn't say it. Yes, have split. Thank you. I have had 4 quizzes and 5 tests so far this semester.
I
Have had. So even though had is the same verb as to have, right?
Yeah.
But that here is the main verb. Yeah? So we can still use have, had to describe an experience. We're not watching a video, but all right. So let's see how well you understand the present perfect. Should we do 2 volunteers? Okay. Anyone want to volunteer to the board? No? All right, 1 second. All right, we won't do this. It's okay. We're almost done anyways. We're almost out of time. But let me do this. All right. So we did get a chance to practice a little bit, so which is good, but give me 1 second. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we are going to do this exercise. If you are watching online, just pause the video to this screen. Ooh, okay, maybe not. There we go. 1 second. All right. I will add the link to the video so you guys can see it as well. But people who are in class, you're going to take the next 5 minutes to answer these questions. Cool? All right. All right, my good people. So number 1 is I have read your book several times. She has worn that skirt many times. My family has visited Brazil a few times. I have eaten already. Martha has finished her homework. You have broken the glass. They have prayed for everything. It has never snowed like that. Cool? All right. So that is it for this lecture. That is it for this video. If you're watching online, please make sure to like, subscribe, do what you need to do. And if you're here in class, thanks for hanging out with me. And I will see you guys on Thursday.